Ladies and gentlemen, right about now, we are on the telephone with the one they call Big K.R.I.T. How are you today, sir?
Man, I'm good, Pepper. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Always business, always keeping it moving around here, you know what I'm saying? Your album, Cadillactica, has been out for a minute, but seeing as this is the first time me and you connected like this, we're going to talk about the album a little bit and just catch up and vibe it out and have some fun. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so when you was in the studio putting it all together, who were you working with?
Yeah, well, it's on production level, man. I had the opportunity to work with Raphael Sadiq, DJ Dahi, Terrace Martin, and Jim Johnson, man, on the album. And it was a beautiful situation because I never really had the opportunity to always step back while working on these projects and just be a rapper, be a writer. And so having different producers at the time gave me the opportunity creatively to do that on some of these records, and so it was definitely enlightening too, man, because it's one of those situations where being a producer, sometimes I get in the habit of doing things the traditional way that works for me, and so working with these other producers, I just saw different ways to produce different instruments, vibes, even keyboards, and it kind of helped me grow as a producer as well, even when it came to finishing Cadillactica. So it was great, man, to actually work with other producers, get other ideas, and the whole creative, collective aspect of it all, you know what I'm saying?
And who's rapping with you on some of these joints?
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. I got featured on the album. I got Lupe Fiasco, Big Son, E40, Wiz Khalifa, Devin the Dude is on the project as well. Bun B is on the album as well, man, and also featuring Mar Ruby, who was singing on the record "Do You Love Me." So it's one of those situations, and oh yeah, Rico Love, I can't forget the homie, he was on the album as well. So it was one of those things where it was dope to be able to work with some of these artists I actually known for a little while, and to have them on records. A$AP Ferg was on it, Jamie and Commons was on it too. So this is a lot of soul, man, a lot of organicness when it comes to this album too.
So this is an official Def Jam release. What is it like recording for Def Jam as opposed to before Def Jam?
Well, independent, you know what I'm saying, is a different kind of grind at any rate when you're dealing with that and being on a major. And it's one of those situations where, obviously Def Jam gets a lot of love and a lot of respect just on a hip-hop level. So for me, I wanted to make sure that I created not only the kind of music that symbolized where I was from, but it still had an extreme element of creativity and lyricism as well. And then to still work and think as an independent, so when it came time for the label to kick in and be a part, that we was all working towards a common goal at the end of the day. Like, you still got to work, because even when you sign, it's like you sign, but you still got to put in that work, man, and kind of be just as hungry as you were when you were independent.
For the fans out there, can you break down one of your earliest memories from when you understood you first wanted to do this rapping thing?
When I first knew I wanted to do this rapping thing, I would have been like I was probably in junior high, for real. And I was writing poetry a lot back then. You freestyle on the corner and stuff like that. But there was a point in time where I really figured out that Tupac wrote a lot of his songs with poems. And so it gave me the idea where even all the personal stuff I write and all the conscious stuff I write, I could turn it into a song if I format it properly. And I think that was the beginning of me really trying to become a songwriter, a rapper for real, because I was taking really passionate, poems and things of that nature to turn them into records, and then people would hear them, and the response would be either just the same as if they would read them or even more overwhelming. And I think at that point is when I decided I wanted to rap, and I had something to say, and I wanted to move people with words,
And what is one of your greatest personal achievements? What is something that you have accomplished that, whether the fans understand it or not, you look at it and you go, yo, this means a lot to me?
Man, I would have to say to this day, man, and a lot of my fans still do understand the significance of this, but having a song with B.B. King, being able to get in the studio and record a song that I wrote and feature B.B. King on it is still, and probably will forever be, one of those things where I could sit back and be like, that was it. Unbelievable moment, rest his soul. And just to be a part of history and to be able to experience that and have the kind of conversations I had with him about his life and being on the tour, you know, him touring and continuing to tell me to just keep touring and stay focused no matter what, make the kind of music that means something to me, man. And just having that kind of knowledge, you know, kind of given down from him to me was a blessing. So I would definitely say that doing a record with B.B. King, brother.
B.B. King. You will remember that for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah, that ain't going nowhere. Straight up.
What was one of your greatest challenges or hardships coming up on your way to success?
No, I would say, you know, just in the independent grind, man, you know, living from, you know, different people, being evicted more than once, not, you know, having to scrape up whatever I could to feed myself, not really knowing if I was going to feed myself sometimes, selling beats for the low, mixing records for a lot of people that never came out. And, you know, it was an instant time in my life where it just didn't seem like music was a thing for me to be doing because I couldn't finance to take care of myself. And I kept getting put in positions where I was living with people or staying in hotel rooms and trying to figure out how I was going to make it the next day over. But, you know, thank God, with God always put something in my way that could keep me going and keep me motivated. So whenever I feel like it was almost over, I'd sell a beat to somebody, or I did a mix a record, or something would come in to put me in a position to keep feeding myself.
Now, the music industry, as tricky as it is, sometimes it takes us up and down. Like, you could be the high man on a totem pole one day, and then the next week it just knock you down, or the next year it just knock you down. But what is one of the things that you love about the music industry from a business point of view?
I mean, well, obviously being able to be on a platform where you can put out music, and even if people have never heard of you before, they might get the opportunity to hear the song or see a video. You know, it's really hard to promote music where I'm from. I get it out to the masses. So, you know, and then on top of that, being able to create opportunities and jobs for people that I grew up knowing or that I worked with over the years. Because once you learn it, once you start getting really into business and trying to figure out how you can spin off other ideas with it, it's one of those things where you can open up so many opportunities for so many people. And I would say that's what I dig from it. And it all comes from creative processes. It's not all because you went to school for it or you got it out of the book, which is also great stuff too, but sometimes it's just so organic as you run into somebody on the street corner and they be like, hey man, I really dig what you're doing and I want to give you this opportunity. So I would say that being a part of music, being at the platform I have, has given me so many opportunities and allowed me to help a lot of people.
And what is one of the things that you hate about the music industry?
Oh, man, I would say when it comes to, when it's just strictly business, you know, where it's like music is creative, it's a process, and you kind of feed off energies. And sometimes when you go to work or when you're creating and you got so much business stuff on your mind, it's really hard to put down any other emotion but that. And depending on how you're looking at business, it might be an angry emotion. And for me, I believed in, or I still believe in, trying to make music from a space where I'm not focused on one particular thing all the time, so I can kind of write about everything across the board. And so that's what I will say, it was always difficult for me, which is trying to create music and dealing with the business at the same time.
What inspires Big K.R.I.T to do what he do?
Man, life. The way I was raised, my dad was an extremely competitive individual, and so he kind of gave that to me as well. The idea and want to do my best and do and go far and beyond what people would expect of me. You know, it was always important that I not be an underachiever in life. I think it really pushed me as an artist and what I do now. Because even in the event where people don't expect me to do something or they don't want to see me do something, I still do my best to prove them wrong. And it shows in the music. Even my rap name being K.R.I.T, King Remembered in Time, it stands and gives me the courage to continue doing what I'm doing and to not be complacent with what I do. To always want to be better, a better king at the end of the day.
King Remembered in Time. That is a big name, my friend.
Appreciate it, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the king remembered in time, aka the one they call Big K.R.I.T, on the Drill Squad telephone right about now. Big K.R.I.T, I'm wondering if we could go old school for a second. Tell the people who were some of your influences coming up.
Man, Outkast, 8Ball and MJG, obviously Tupac and Biggie, UGK, 3-6 Mafia, and then old school music. Like I was a big fan of Bobby Womack, Curtis Mayfield, Willie Hutch, of course BB King. People like that really inspired me musically, and I think that's why it's so much soul and 808 vibe mixed in when it comes to my music. Because a lot of old school Southern hip hop artists definitely sampled soul music in a different way that it still kind of rattled the trunk, and I kind of still take from that mentality.
Okay, so that's old school. Let's talk new school for a second. As far as today's relevant rappers, who are you feeling right now?
I mean, definitely. I mean, obviously Kanye, because I can relate to have the producer / rapper aspect. Kanye, Smoke DZA, Big Son, Pharrell, again, a producer / artist. Who else, man? Lupe, Cole. Definitely did what Cole doing right. Again, another producer / artist. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, these kind of people, bro.
When you work hard and you put the music out and it gets received well, sometimes people tend to look at it like a painting on the wall. They receive from it what they want to receive from it. Other than what the fans could get from your music, what is something you could tell the fans about you that you would want them to know about you?
Oh man, that when it comes to music, for me, it's all about it being timeless and creating quality. I don't necessarily drop a lot of songs, a lot of music, because for me, it's about doing my best to make the best product possible, the best music possible. So it takes me a little longer than normal. I'm my worst critic sometimes, and so when it comes to the music, you know, it takes so long because I want to make sure that I don't leave no stone unturned with the content as well. And then I'm still growing musically. To not expect me to be like K.R.I.T was in 2010, where K.R.I.T was here. Like, I've experienced so much since Return to Forever. My days aren't quite like Forever in a Day, that project. And so with time and experience, I'm going to grow as an artist. I'm going to talk about different topics. My music is going to change and sound different, as it should. And I'm also going to spread my wings and work with other artists and other producers, because I want to continue to push the kind of music that I make, and not only me be the only person that promotes it, but to feature other artists or to work with other artists and be a part of their albums just sonically, so my sound can grow within the industry and within the world. You feel me?
Are there any misconceptions about Big K.R.I.T that you would like to clear up?
That I'm so humble that I'm not competitive. People be like, man, K.R.I.T's so nice, you know what I'm saying? True, it's true, but at the same time, I'm going to compete to the highest point that I can compete. And when it comes to music, when it comes to hip hop, you far-fetched to get out on me and in the studio lyrically as a producer. Any of that, just in my mind, is about being the best and feeling like I'm the best. You feel me? So I put that in my music, and I don't really believe in tooting my own horn. So I kind of let the music speak for itself. But I am very much confident in what I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Big K.R.I.T is a man of the people. K.R.I.T, can you please talk about your love for hip hop in the truest sense? Because the people from the South, they have a deep appreciation for it, but they got a different spin on it. I noticed that the roots of hip hop is important to people from the South.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, I think when it comes to music, everybody has always took from something that inspired them and created their own perspective of it. And even before hip-hop, it was blues, it was jazz, you know, the things that they were sampling weren't hip-hop records. It was the first record to sample, you know what I'm saying, James Brown and all these people, funk. So when it came to the South, it was just putting our own spin of not only the old school music we listen to, but the kind of cadence that we carry. you know. And for me, the golden era was extremely important in hip-hop because there was so many dope artists that was coming out, and so many people sounded different from each other. Everybody didn't sound the same, and musically people didn't sound the same because the way you produced and how you produced, it wasn't so much vast knowledge on how to produce. It wasn't YouTube. It wasn't things of that nature. So when people were making beats, they was making it with the mind frame like this is the right way to do it. And I think that just made the game more flavorful because you had people in the West Coast making beats different than people in the East Coast, making beats different people in the South, and different people in the Midwest, and you can hear the difference. You can hear how people rap differently. And so that's why I think the golden era was so important. Old school hip-hop was so important because it was a vast difference. And, you know, as far as me, I believe in incorporating a certain traditional aspect of Southern hip-hop in my music because I grew up listening to it so much and I want to keep it alive. But then I want to tell you about Mississippi. So there's a certain blues to it. There's a certain grit to it, a certain hunger to it that I think I'm homing in on it just being something that I can consider a Mississippi sound. Like I'm working on it. You know, David Banner has also been one of those people that's extreme. Like he tried to pioneer the same thing, the sound. So, you know, it's in the works, man. Lord knows I get by 35 or something like that. Hopefully I've been figured out a keen sound that people be like, oh, that's Mississippi all day.
Tell us about the importance to you regarding conquering new musical ground as opposed to just going straight ahead with that down south hip hop.
Man, it's extremely important to me. You know, when we started going overseas with the music, right, and I started doing shows in Germany, you know what I'm saying, we went to Sweden and places like that. It was amazing to see how far the music had took me. And then I'm still doing the same content that I did when I was at the crib. I'm talking about my backyard, I'm talking about the cars I like, and just the environment itself before it to travel so far that people in other countries could relate to it. I think that was when I really started to understand not only the importance of what I did, but to take in consideration of what I'm saying and really try to incorporate more passionate things, knowledgeable things in my music too, because people are listening, and it doesn't matter that I'm in the deep south or not. There's somebody all the way across the world that heard what I said and enjoyed it or took something from it. And so that's why even now I go on a thing of really pushing my kind of music, a record like Soul Food featuring Raphael Sadiq the Radio, which probably doesn't even fit in radio format that most people would say, but it's important that people hear that kind of record. You know, to make it my single, to have a record like Saturday's Equal Celebration featuring Jamie and Commons and want to make it a single. Because I want everybody to hear my music. I don't want it to be one situation where I just got my niche core and I want everybody to hear my music because I think I got something to say.
All right, couple more questions left, then we wrap it up. Do you have advice for cats on the come up who listen to you and they're like, dang, I want to do like Big K.R.I.T, dude?
Well, first off, be better than me. Be better than me, be like yourself, and figure out a way to convey that in your music. People respect honesty. You know, it's like when you get to building a certain kind of formula based off of who you aren't, when people sit down and do interviews with you, when they meet you on the street, it's going to show eventually. So you really got to be yourself in the music. You got to invest in yourself. YouTube everything, film everything you do from the ground up. People really love to see a work in progress. They like to see where you came from, and that's going to be extremely important. And don't just rely on one song to be enough for your career, because even after you have a hit record, you still got to come back and have another one. And so you want to still focus on longevity. People don't talk about that as much anymore, but it's extremely important to have longevity so you continue to feed your family, feed your people, and stay creative in the music game.
What are some of the future goals for the homie Big K.R.I.T?
Man, to score a major motion film, to score, do some kind of soundtrack, some documentary. Obviously, I'm still excited to drop another album, man. To do a multi-alumni album with my partner Big Son. To venture into other genres, man, and write for blues artists, for soul singers. Yeah, those are goals. to pick up the piano and the guitar and be able to fluidly play it by the time I'm in 40. All that is those are goals.
And if you could do it all again, would you do it different?
Nah, I do it this way. I think it's best I did it this way. And even the days was super difficult or extremely uncomfortable when it comes to working with the business or something like that, I still can say that I've not only met so many amazing people, I've had the opportunity to make the kind of music that I wanted to make. And so I think it was all worth it, and there's still more to come from the sacrifices that I made, from all the days where I didn't think it was gonna work out, and all the hard work. It's still more to come, more to celebrate, and I still got more music to make. So even if I'm uncomfortable with a situation, I can still write my way out of it.
All right, it has been a pleasure talking to the one they call Big K.R.I.T. Run out, go get that album, or just go on the internet and get that album called Cadillactica. Do it up real big for my man Big K.R.I.T. Big K.R.I.T, it has been a pleasure. Thank you.
No doubt, I appreciate all the love out that way, man. It's always been love.
Stay blessed, my man.
No doubt, you too.